You say you want money, but your behavior says something else. And if you're honest, there's a part of you that doesn't actually want to be rich. Not fully, not completely, because wanting money and being ready for it are not the same thing. Most people never understand this. They think desire is enough, that if they want something badly enough, they'll eventually get it. But that's not how your brain works. Your brain doesn't move toward what you want. It moves toward what feels safe. And for most people, wealth doesn't feel safe. It feels like pressure, responsibility, exposure. It feels like being seen, being judged, being expected to perform, and your brain wants none of that. So even when you say, I want more money, another part of you quietly asks, at what cost? Because deep down, you've associated money with something heavy, something uncomfortable. Maybe it came from what you saw growing up. People arguing about money, people stressed because of money, people changing because of money, and your brain made a silent decision. If money creates this, I don't want it. But you never said it out loud. So now, you live in a contradiction, consciously chasing money while subconsciously avoiding it. And that conflict is exhausting because you're moving in two directions at once. You push forward, then you pull back. You start, then you stop. You get close, then something happens, not dramatic, not obvious, just enough to bring you back. Back to where things feel manageable, predictable, safe. And you call it bad timing, bad luck, bad decisions. But it's not. It's alignment. Your external results, matching your internal limits. Because no matter how much you try, you will never consistently live above what feels normal to you. That's the ceiling, not your income, not your opportunities, your identity. And identity is built through repetition, through what you experience again, and again, and again. So if your experience of money has always been tied to stress, then stress becomes part of your financial identity. And your brain will try to keep it there, even when life starts to change. That's why people self-sabotage. Not loudly, but in small, invisible ways. They delay decisions, they avoid action, they overthink simple steps. And over time, they return to the same place. And the worst part? It feels normal. That's why it's so hard to see. Because you don't feel like you're doing something wrong. You feel like you're being yourself. But yourself is just a collection of patterns. Patterns that were learned, not chosen. And once you understand that, you stop asking, how do I make more money? And you start asking, what part of me is resisting it? Because that's where the truth is, not in your strategy, not in your plan, in your resistance. What feels uncomfortable when things improve? What feels heavy when opportunity appears? What makes you hesitate when you should move? Those moments are revealing your real limits, not the ones you talk about, the ones you feel, and until those limits change, nothing else will. You can push harder, you can try more, but your system will always pull you back to what feels safe. That's why real change doesn't start with action. It starts with awareness, seeing the pattern, feeling the resistance, not running from it. Because that discomfort is the edge of your current identity, and beyond that edge is everything you say you want. Most people never cross it because they interpret discomfort as a sign to stop, but it's not. It's a sign that you're leaving the familiar. And the familiar is what's been keeping you stuck. So the real question is not, how do I get rich? It's, am I willing to feel uncomfortable long enough for my identity to change? Because that's the price. Not effort, not time, discomfort, sustained, conscious, unavoidable. And if you can stay in that without escaping it, your system begins to shift slowly. What once felt heavy becomes manageable. What once felt risky becomes normal. And that's when everything changes. Not because you forced it, but because you became someone who can hold it. And once you reach that point, money stops being something you chase. It becomes something you allow. And that's the difference between wanting wealth and actually living with it. If this made you pause, if something inside you felt exposed, don't ignore it. That's not discomfort, that's awareness. And awareness is where real change begins. Because this is where you stop lying to yourself about money and start seeing what's really controlling you. And here's the part almost no one is willing to face. If you removed money from the equation, what would be left? Would you still feel valuable? Would you still feel in control? Would you still feel enough? Because for many people, money is not just currency. It's identity, it's proof, it's validation, it's control. And when something carries that much weight, it becomes dangerous. Not externally, internally, because now it's no longer about earning. It's about protecting your image. Protecting how you're seen, protecting what money says about you. And that creates pressure, invisible pressure, the kind that doesn't show up in your plans, but shows up in your behavior. You hesitate more, you doubt more, you second guess everything, not because the opportunity isn't right, but because the meaning behind it feels too heavy. And your brain reacts to that weight, like a threat. So instead of moving forward, you slow down. You tell yourself you're thinking it through, but you're not thinking, you're regulating, trying to reduce the internal pressure back to something manageable. And the easiest way to do that is to step back, to delay, to avoid, to stay where things feel lighter, even if lighter means smaller. And this is where most people get trapped, because they believe they're making rational decisions, but they're not. They're making emotional corrections. Based on an identity they've never questioned, so they build a life that matches how they feel inside, not what they say they want. And over time, that becomes their reality. Stable, predictable, limited, and they adapt to it. They normalize it. They explain it. Until one day, they stop questioning it altogether. That's the moment growth ends. Not when you fail, but when you stop seeing the pattern. Because once the pattern becomes invisible, it becomes permanent. And most people live there for years. Not because they can't change, but because they don't see what needs to change. They keep adjusting strategies, trying new methods, looking for better tactics. But the system underneath remains the same. And as long as the system stays the same, the results will too. That's why real change feels slow. Not because it is slow, but because it's happening at a deeper level, below behavior, below action, below what you can easily see. It's happening in how you perceive, how you interpret, how you respond. And that doesn't shift instantly. It shifts through awareness, repeated, through noticing, consistently, through catching yourself in the moment you would normally react. And choosing something different. Not perfectly, not always, but enough. Enough to interrupt the pattern, because patterns don't break all at once. They weaken, they lose control, little by little, until one day, you notice something strange. You're no longer reacting the same way. The same trigger appears, but your response is different. You don't feel the same pressure. You don't feel the same urgency. You don't feel the need to escape. And in that moment, you realize something shifted, not outside, inside. And that shift is what creates new results. Not because you force change, but because your system is no longer running the same way. And that's when money changes, not suddenly, not magically, but steadily, in a way that feels sustainable. Because for the first time, you're not trying to become someone else. You're not chasing an identity. You're not forcing growth. You're allowing alignment between who you are and what you create. And that alignment is what most people spend their lives missing, because they're too focused on what they can see and not enough on what's actually driving it. So if something in you right now feels quieter, more aware, more present, stay there. Don't rush it. Don't label it. Don't try to turn it into action immediately. Just notice it. Because that awareness is the beginning of something real, something stable, something that doesn't collapse under pressure. And once you build from that place, everything you create starts to last. And that's when money stops being something you chase and becomes something that stays. If this made you pause, subscribe, because this is where it changes.